So good evening, everyone. Welcome. Apologies from a few people this evening that were here on the Sunday retreat day, having a break at home tonight, or maybe meditating at home tonight. Some of them may be joining us online tonight. But certainly we're here, so let's settle into our evening with some meditation. So having established our comfortable sitting position, aligning our body with some degree of symmetry, balance, poise, helping to enable an inner mindful presence. Our eyes gently closed, helping to bring our awareness within. Having our initial deep, relaxing, letting go breath. Breathing out any stress tension that might have been building in our body over the happening of this day, the happening of the week so far. Breathing out, relaxing, releasing, letting go. Letting go of issues, worries, concerns, roles, and responsibilities. Thoughts about what has been, thoughts about what might be. Just tuning into the present moment. Taking this time to be present, to mindfully cultivate and create some inner ease, some inner space, some inner stillness, silence, and serenity. And particularly using our breath as our reference point for the present. Life is always only happening in the present. So meditation is practicing being present in a calm, objective, receptive, attentive way, enabled through being with each breath intimately, deeply, kindly. But before focusing on the breath, just relaxing and feeling into our body, getting a sense of our body sitting here. Feeling grounded, settled, centered, present. Awareness of a few contact sensations, maybe feeling our feet connecting with the floor. Feeling our body connecting with the chair, cushion, or stool, meditation stool. Feeling our hands and fingers resting in our lap, sensation of hands and fingers. Bringing awareness up to our shoulders, relaxing our shoulders without disturbing the uprightness of our back. Relaxing our chest area so we can breathe freely. Relaxing the abdomen belly area so our diaphragm can extend fully. And then feeling the soothing motion, the gentle rising up with the in-breath, relaxing down with the out-breath. Letting our body find its own natural rhythm and process of breathing. Noticing also the sensation of the air connecting with our face. perception of light coming in through the closed eyelids. And even looking into that lightness, brightness, blankness through the closed eyelids. A forward-focused gaze into the space in front through the closed eyelids. Not being distracted or disturbed by background sounds that we might hear. Particularly also the internal mental sight or sounds of thoughts, not getting caught up into those. Rather choosing to bring our attention to the breath at the nose nostril area. Directing attention, sustaining attention to feel the natural flow of the in-breath, the out-breath at the nose nostril area. Feeling each breath, looking into the lightness, brightness through the closed eyelids, using one or two mental meditative words in our mind, a mantra, if that's helpful. Developing calm, clarity, poise, and presence. Always returning our attention back to the breath if it becomes distracted. Feeling into each present moment through each mindful breath. Here, now, knowing. Denise, can you turn the urn down or off?
Yes.
Thanks. Daniel, we might close those windows there. Thanks. One of the challenges of living in this area is that we often get power outages, whether it's through rain or the wind, branches coming down on power lines. Maybe a bit challenging. Brendan, did the online stay connected, or it's
No, the internet went out.
internet went out? Did it reconnect?
As now.
As now,
Yeah,
okay.
only we reconnected.
Good.
Did it happen mid-meditation? Are people still meditating at home?
I like it.
Stuck in the trance.
Dropped off.
So this Sunday past, we had a meditation half-day retreat at which some of you came along to that. And the practice is that usually on the Thursday night after the Sunday, we have a bit of a remind and a bit of a reflect and debrief regarding the retreat day in the context of the topic. Usually there's a topic that I give in the context of meditation and Buddhist practice. And so the retreat half-day session was about the importance of right view, and that appreciating that right view, the Buddhist word samma ditti, samma meaning right or wholesome or skillful, ditti meaning view, which is the first practice factor, path factor on the Eightfold Path, the whole practice path in Buddhism, as noted on the chart here, that everything begins with view, how we perceive things. And certainly in the context of the Buddhist path, that how we perceive affects then our thoughts that we have, affects then our speech, our action, our livelihood, the effort that we put into things, mindfulness and concentration. So there's a flow through there, but important being that we begin with our perception, our view. And the Buddha pointed out that apart from having a objective, clear-minded perception of things, that more specifically right view in the Buddhist context involves an appreciation and understanding of the four truths. The four truths of dukkha. Dukkha is a word that describes stress, disappointment, pain, suffering. So an appreciation, understanding of the four truths of dukkha, or stress and suffering. And I think just fundamentally we can appreciate that our whole experience of life is mediated through our mind. Even though there may be certain things happening, it's how we perceive those things that becomes a source of ease and well-being, or frustration, fear, confusion, distress. Comes back to our particular take, our particular perception of things. And the more mindful we are, we can check in to see, well, how am I perceiving this? How am I seeing this? Am I seeing this experience through a particular filter, which may be a filter, a mindset that's been conditioned over some time, maybe over the course of our lifetime? In psychology, they're called schema or mindset. There's a list of various mindsets that people have, like a negativity bias or a grandiose bias, or might be a persecution bias, always to do with a sense of self, and or even a positive bias, looking at the bright side, seeing the positive side of things. My work, certainly as a psychologist, often involves checking out how people are seeing things, their particular take, their particular view, and helping them to see whether that approach, that view, is helpful to them or not, correct even or not, and to then have a more of a mindful, objective, receptive, attentive approach to what's happening, and maybe even adding on then a helpful mindset or approach, a helpful view to go, okay, well, let's see if we can view issues as opportunities, problems as potentials for learning, and maybe even transform a situation which is woeful into something which is workable, maybe even into something which is wonderful. The idea of blight, negative thing, to a blessing. And because certainly life is filled with issues, concerns, things that aren't so pleasant. But if we view them in the right way, we can maybe view them in such a way that we can turn them into opportunities for learning, evolving, growing, even transforming our mind, our consciousness, our being through the work of growing in spiritual virtues and qualities. So that becomes a possibility. So it becomes a sense of like using our ongoing life's experience as a way of growing as a human being, growing in terms of qualities that become an asset. So the real asset is not so much things, but the virtues of the mind heart that we can develop and then also use in other situations as well. And that's all down to sort of, again, how we view things. And certainly meditation is helping us to develop that quality of clarity of mind, that mindful awareness, refining our conscious awareness through meditation, so that we can then see things in a more objective way. But the retreat was offering a thesis that yes, the Buddha's definition of right view is to appreciate the four truths of dukkha, stress and suffering, that there is stress and suffering, there is a cause to stress and suffering, there can be an ending to stress and suffering, and there's a practice path that leads to the ending of stress and suffering. They're the four truths. And I mentioned a particular thesis by Avitar Shulman. Is a professor, university professor, and he's written this particular book, Rethinking the Buddha, Early Buddhist Philosophy as Meditative Perception, and particularly about looking into the early Buddha's teachings, the Theravadan scriptures, and rethinking how they're presented, what they are presenting, and what the Buddha was actually pointing to with regards to the practice for realizing reality and transcending the dukkha or the drama of life, realizing full, complete spiritual freedom, enlightenment, nirvana, and especially based upon his understanding and study of the Pali language, the Pali being a language similar to Sanskrit, so the early Buddhist teachings were given in Pali, and a rethinking and reworking of what has been translated maybe incorrectly and taken as a general sort of approach, particularly the sense that often the reading the Buddhist teachings said in the context of the Four Truths, Four Noble Truths, everything is suffering. And maybe it's not that the Buddha didn't maybe say everything is suffering. He was maybe saying there is suffering, not that everything is suffering. because suffering is quite relative. And also, more specifically, that this particular thing is stress or disappointment or dissatisfaction or suffering. This particular thing that I'm experiencing now. And so Evadar Schulman is saying that these four truths were to be used as a philosophical approach in meditation to look at one's experience, to be able to reduce the mind's habit of getting attached to things, clinging to things, holding on to things that are impermanent, and therefore unsatisfactory or unsatisfying or a source of disappointment, dukkha. So reducing the clinging and attachment so that there is more of a sense of acceptance, this is how it is, and or a letting go as well. And so that yes, this is a source of distress and suffering. Might be just distress. Some things might be a bigger cause of distress or suffering. Might be physical pain. It might be emotional anguish and torment. It might be an unhelpful mindset of worry and fear. And so this is stress and suffering. And to see that the cause of this is clinging, wanting, holding on to something or wanting something to not be happening. I don't want this to, my want is for this not to be happening. So wanting. When I stop wanting, then there is a sense of ease. Third truth, the ending of the stress and suffering, sense of relief, ease. And then there's a practice path towards enabling that as more of a permanent experience. So one's not getting caught up clinging, condemning, reacting, resisting, denying, distracting, but more accommodating, being with, feeling with, approaching what is as it is, as opposed to trying to sort of manipulate and change things according to egoic self, which is almost impossible. One can change a little bit, but things often have their own nature. And the Buddha said everything has the nature of being impermanent, therefore uncertain, and therefore unsatisfactory because it's not going to last. So that our meditation retreat day was sort of looking into that possibility of having that rethink or relook or reperspecting these four truths. And even Evadar Schulman said that when the Buddha initially conceived or created this approach as a psychological approach, a philosophical look at experience as a way of looking, and in time it becomes a way of being, so that it becomes sort of like an automatic approach to things, so that one doesn't get caught up clinging and craving and wanting and lusting and desiring and so forth. And in deep meditation, which is even beyond thought, there is that just way of seeing, and therefore a natural letting go into insight, vipassana, and into release, vimutti, freedom, and into the possibility of ultimate sukha, happiness, nirvana. But obviously it comes down to practice. And I was recommending on the retreat day to even just taking regular experiences and sort of viewing it in a particular way. This is impermanent. It won't last. It's caught up with uncertainty, and therefore it can be a source of stress and suffering if I cling to it. So I'm going to just notice it, or even let go of the wanting it to be other than how it is, as sort of an ongoing sort of frame of mind or frame of reference. And that can be an ongoing practice in itself. I did send out to those that were on the retreat day this book. So those were here. I've got it now as a PDF. It's an interesting read. And for me, I found it great in the sense that it helps to simplify what Buddhist practice is. But when it comes down to it, Buddhist practice is particularly meditation. The whole practice is really setting up the mind for meditation. So that the aspects on the Eightfold Path, the morality aspects are sort of yes, right thought, or sorry, right view, but certainly right thought and right speech and right action, right livelihood, morality or ethical aspects, to be able to be at ease. The mind can be at ease, the body can be at ease, so that then the mind can go into deeper meditation. The meditation aspects of the practice path are right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration, which then results in profound, powerful wisdom, which certainly can include that sort of right view, how we view and see things. And so that meditation as the fundamental practice of Buddhism, and that using the meditation for the purpose of developing clarity, purity of mind, and profound insight. So that I also mentioned on the retreat day that it's like the first path or practice factor, samadhi, right view, how we view things, flows right through to the end of the samma samadhi, which is collectedness, concentration of mind. And in a way, they're the two main practices. That's what we're looking to develop, and the others are supporting factors for those two main things. So there's a fair amount in that, but at the same time, it makes things really simple. There's not a lot of doctrine, dogma, beliefs that one has to sort of take up or uphold. It's really about clarifying and purifying the mind to see things clearly, see the truth of things, and to let go, So for those of you that were on the retreat, any comments that you'd like to make about the theme or about the retreat itself, and or any questions that you might have? And those that weren't on the retreat, sure, any questions as well. Claire, I see a question arising.
I feel like I'm so sorry. I don't really have a great question. It's so complex, or maybe so simple. I don't know. It's a lot to think about, but I'm not sure if it's entirely about the retreat. But we just recently had some experience this week where a friend has visited who's quite unwell, mentally unwell, and has experienced, working in an inner space that's very much outside of their comfort zone, and being exposed to seeing other ways of living that are quite choppy, like in remote Australia, experiencing polarization, apartheid, racism, poverty, impoverished, and unsafe and situations, and has become quite unwell from that, and will sort of find retreat and have to take some process to recover.
Yeah.
And I feel very fortunate to have that structure of the Eightfold Path when you talk about it, I feel like there's so much within it that it's hard for me to articulate it very well, but it's it's a big challenge to find right view or right perspective, and to know when it's the right place to take right action, and to not deny action, but to find that space outside of that egoic self to act. It is really complicated.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just more of a client, really. And I think, I just really do feel like the process of meditation does set you up for a really good chance at trying to make have a perspective that still incorporates compassion and complexity, but also to take action when action is required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ideally, that action is not so much a reaction, but more of a conscious action, a conscious responding out of wisdom. So not just out of compassion, but out of wisdom, because the wisdom will include compassion, but compassion often doesn't include wisdom. And that's where people can get caught up in just feeling and caring too much, over caring, compassion, doing too much, wearing out, burning out, and becoming compassion fatigued. And so wisdom is what's really required. And particularly in a Buddhist context, Buddhist psychology, the use of equanimity. So equanimity, which is the fourth of the four spiritual emotions, upekkha in Pali, so that the four being metta, which is a kindness, care, friendliness, general approach, kindness and care, and then karuna, compassion, which is used in specific situations. Someone's in pain, someone's upset, distress, so compassion, I feel for them. And then mudita, that quality of joy with others when they're happy, when things are going well for them. But then upekkha, which is equanimity, to have that equipoise, equilibrium, that calm composure when things are difficult. Also when things are really exciting, but you remain calm, composed, and don't get caught up in excitement. And also even when things are boring, just staying calm and composed, not like, I want to seek some excitement, but particularly when things are difficult, to engage with that calm composure so that one doesn't get overwhelmed and traumatized and burnt out. And equanimity is the balance of compassion. So I care, but it's tempered with wisdom. So that would also be part of a right view approach, to approach things with that calm composure, compassion. I care, but I have the wisdom to discern what's appropriate. Can I be helpful? Maybe I can. What is the help that's required? Is it appropriate for me to help? Because maybe I can help, but is it appropriate? Maybe not. Or yes, right now, no, maybe not right now, just wait. And if I do engage, then for how much do I engage? Then when do I go, okay, enough, I've helped enough. I need to step back, let the person carry on themselves. Otherwise, it creates a conditioned helplessness in the other person. And they'll always need one. So it's about having the wisdom to discern what's right and appropriate. And also that the wisdom element appreciates that life does involve aging, illness, and death, stress and suffering. They're the realities of life, that people are living out their life according to choices which they've made, cause and effect, and also that things do change. So someone may be very distressed now, but in 5 minutes, they'll be over it. Or in 5 hours, they'll be over it. Or in 5 weeks, they'll be over it all. So it's things will change. It maybe won't be like this forever. So appreciating those wisdom aspects helps one to then just discern or see what's appropriate in terms of responding. I think that equanimity is a really important quality for everyone to have to some degree, just to be able to accommodate the challenges and the difficulties and the pains that we're more and more privy to in life. And given that these devices, and where there's more information coming in, there's news feeds coming in, there's stuff like, how do I cope with all of this? It's sort of overwhelmed, people getting traumatized. So equanimity helps us to, yes, be aware, we can be with it, but also have that sense of care, but wisdom to not get distressed and traumatized.
John, I had a bit of an observation of going back into last Thursday for the first time this year into a meditation practice and starting that again, and having the Sunday retreat session come into it. And like I've always been, quite recently over the past few years, been trying to apply ideas like this too will pass, this too will come to an end, good things and bad things. And I believe that's perhaps right view could fall into that topic. But I found over the last 3 sessions, inclusive of today and the meditation in between, that created a little bit more of a conversation between those ideas and a practice.
Mm.
Like in my mind, at least, I felt as though it wasn't just applying ideas and perhaps sometimes abstract ideas to situations. It was yeah, more in communication, and yeah, just an observation over the past week, and that was
Yeah.
exercising those ideas in a deeper way for me.
Yeah.
For me.
That's what's really important. It is about practicing, and even with practicing ideas or perspectives or wisdom teachings that you might come across, and then seeing, well, was that helpful or not? Was that too much or not? Do I need to increase this or not? So that you use it as a bit of a measure to sort of feel in what's right for you.
Mhm.
And certainly all of the Buddhist teachings, as in any worthwhile spiritual teaching from any tradition, it's to be used more than just say, oh, it's a nice idea in a book and I've got the book on the shelf. It's medicine. It's a remedy that needs to be taken and applied and experienced and used to bring about the cure. Otherwise, it's almost useless. Any other thoughts or questions or comments?
I think Buddhism, how does Buddhism approach neurodiversity in terms of people being able to access the discipline of meditation?
Well, certainly Buddhism is open to everybody and anybody, but a lot of people won't be ready for sort of Buddhist ideas or practices. And at the same time, people may approach Buddhism and certainly meditation in different ways. Could say that, like most traditions, the majority of people that are involved in some type of religion or spiritual practice, it can be fairly superficial, more in terms of rituals and things that maybe are just done on particular holy days, because it's part of one's culture. So when I lived in Thailand, certainly Thailand is a Buddhist culture, a Buddhist country. Majority of Thai people, they tend to practice their Buddhism more than say other, even like Christians would practice Christianity. So the Thai people will go to the temple usually once a week. Most men in Thailand will ordain as a monk for around 3 months of their lifetime. It's something which is ingrained into their way of being, their life, and their experience of life. But it's about, that very few people will actually go in deep and get really serious about the practice, and so that it may be beyond some people, and certainly people at neurodiversity, which people of different sort of neurological abilities, even temperaments. Some people that even might be neurodiverse may really get taken by Buddhism because it can be quite ordered and structured, and the simplicity of living a Buddhist way of life, and taken by it. And again, even that just the practice of meditation, can be helpful to keep things quite simple. There's a story in the Buddhist scriptures about two brothers that ordained as monks at the Buddha's times. The Buddha was alive, and one monk was very, very bright. One brother was very bright and very intellectual, and did well in the teachings, understood the teachings. His brother was a bit limited or restricted or neurodiverse, and he didn't really understand the teachings, but he could focus. And the Buddha gave him the task of having a white piece of cloth, and he said, "This is your meditation. just rub this piece of white cloth and just focus on the white cloth and be aware of what happens. And so this brother that wasn't so bright just would meditate on this white cloth, and after a few days or a few weeks, the cloth was getting greasy and dirty and smelly, and he could see the transformation, the change that had happened in this cloth, and he had deep, profound insight and became fully enlightened. The reality of change, impermanence, and that what is wonderful and beautiful and pure becomes ragged and dirty and unpleasant, and why be attached to things so profound insight just from rubbing that piece of cloth. So that Buddhism, I think, as a practice and as a philosophy, has a lot to offer to most people in different ways. Anything else before we finish? So certainly give some consideration to how we are viewing things. Our view perspective is really, really important. How we perceive affects then how we receive experience. And so ideally perceiving in the right way, so right view, samadhi, and also being aware of how we conceive, how we think about things affects then how we perceive things, and then how we then receive and engage into the various experiences of life. So it's a really, really important thing to check out the mind and what's going on there. Most of our stress and suffering comes because we're maybe perceiving things in the wrong way. So give that some consideration. Thanks for coming out tonight, and I hope that you're not one of the people that have no power when you go home. See you next time.
Thank you.